all you have to do is basically intro, why, structure, close. That entire process is the same. Introduce yourself. And this, we're going to assume that you've had an engagement and then the person is like ready to hear you out, right? Because, you know, you guys can do phone objections all day. So let's assume that you're on the same page. Cool. Frank, can you grab a pen and paper for me really quick? Before we get carried away with this like gentle interrogation, I need to give you all my state ID information. You know, some people think it's funny. Some don't think it's that funny, but you know, I'll say something smart to them a little bit to try to get them to just loosen up or relax and like give your first instruction. Hey, can you grab a pen and paper? I'm required to give you all of my state ID information. I'm gonna give you my full name, state ID, and my direct cell number. So I'm already treating this as it's a closed deal because they need to have my cell number so they can call me if they need anything. So I'm already getting in the mindset that it's closed. Then you just open it up with all the regular why stuff, you know, hey, it looks like according to this, if it's an internet lead, as an example, it looks to me like you're just on the hunt for something small, 10, 20, 30 grand to handle, so, you know, some funeral type expenses. Obviously, when I get this in, normally you have somebody specific in mind that's going to be in charge of that stuff for you. So for you, who would that be? And I want to get that person's name. And then I'm just trying to uncover, like, what's the scenario with that person? Do they live close by? Do they live with you? If it's a spouse, obviously, I think that's really simple. If they live out of state and it's a kid, do they have a family? Are they married? Do they have their own children? What do they do for work? That stuff is important because if that person if their kid's job is that they manage a McDonald's in their hometown or whatever, versus, yeah, my kid is the head of the FBI in DC, like those are much different conversations that we're about to have for like why it's really important to that child, you know? So if they're already struggling and supporting a family and the mom and dad are both working, they got 1, 2, 3 kids, whatever it is, I'm assuming that the reason that you were looking into something small, like 10, 20, 30 grand, is to kind of pick that burden off of the kids and grandkids so that they don't have to, you know, basically pay the consequence of your death. And you can be as gentle as you want with that part. You don't have to say it like that. But that's the point that I'm trying to drive home, is I need to understand why it's important to them. And then just having a conversation about the kid. Cool. Well, how far do they live away? What do they do for work? Just having a regular conversation and be genuinely interested in their response. You know, pretty normal stuff. You're gathering the why. The structure piece is the only thing where I added a little extra splash at the very end. My structure stuff all stays the same. So Frank, job is super easy. Basically we underwrite for like 30 or 40 some insurance companies or whatever. They are all state regulated, which all you need to know about that is insurance is essentially universally priced within a few pennies. All the companies, they all have to follow the same rules. One company's not going to be $1,000 a month. The next one's not going to be 8 cents. They'll vary a handful of dollars per company, depending on your age and how banged up you are. Does that make sense? So probably $2 to $5 different-ish. Okay, cool. So what I do is I go through this sweet little suitability sheet that they give me, and I'm just going to ask you all the questions on it: age, income, house, health, current insurance you got. And then I actually help shop around the entire US for you, so I can handpick maybe like 1 to 3 companies that we think you match with best, that will give you the most insurance for the least amount of money. And then once I isolate a company with you, you will custom design your own plan, whether that's 10, 50, 100, I don't care. You're going to build it out with me to the penny of what makes financial sense, but enough insurance to still take care of the kids. Does that make sense to you? Cool. Once we have company and amount of insurance that you would like to apply for, or that you would like to have, all I do is send a request for coverage for you into the insurance company to make sure that you can get the green light, so that if tomorrow is it, your family has some kind of minimum bear coverage in place. Does that make sense? Just reconfirming we on the same page. And everything that I do for that is stated. You get to make your own plan. I'm going to shop around. We're just looking for a minimum amount of insurance so that your kids are going to have something instead of nothing, but it has to fit you financially. That's like, because everybody wants I'm only going to do it if the price makes sense. Well, dude, anything is going to be more helpful. I don't care if it's a $3,000 policy, $3 grand to your kid who has no money is more than zero. And it's very helpful, you know? So I'm not necessarily premium hunting in every single situation. We are looking for bare minimum coverage to get approved. Cool. This is the only thing that I changed, because now that we are not face to face, I needed to let everybody know this was the information I was gathering, because I was getting pretty beat up about social and bank, and I don't know you and I don't give that over the phone. So I just started adding like, hey, Frank, you been to a dealership, picked up a car before? Yes, cool. This is going to be the exact same as if you go into a dealership, except for they don't even check your credit. They're just going to ask you for all the same information. They want your full name, date of birth, driver's license, social security, and whatever bank you're going to use to pay for your insurance. Once we get that far where we've got company and amount and we're doing the application, they are going to ask you for that information. And I just wanted to make sure you were comfortable giving it to me, because they will ask. And again, all I'm doing is putting all the pressure on the insurance company, need it. I don't care about it. I don't have to have it, but they need it. Do you have it? Do you have access to it? And are you cool giving it to me? Because they are going to ask you. I had to start adding that piece in, and whatever version of that example that you guys, that fits you the best. I figured a lot of people have bought vehicles at some point in their life. So that was the easiest thing that I could think of to relay it. More than likely talked that from a training. I don't remember who I took it from, but that's the dealership piece is where I really found out if I was going to close the deal or not. Right. So that was the only thing I added. And then from there, it's just filling out the paperwork, finding the company, making sure you stay within budget, and we're good to go. This other little unique thing that I found is I started implementing a temperature check to see how committed was my client before we got to the prices. So once I go through that whole entire suitability sheet and we're at the very end, I'm like, all right, this is awesome, Frank. I'm going to go ahead and do some digging around from a couple of companies to see who you actually pair with best. While I'm doing all this shopping, would you mind grabbing your ID and your bank stuff really quick while I'm crunching all these numbers out? And dude, if they will get up before I've priced them out and go grab their bank and their driver's license, I've got like a 90% chance that we're going to get the green light on a yes from them. So that was my like little temp check, where if I thought it was going well and I would ask for that before they saw prices and they would get it, that gave me a lot more confidence in showing bigger numbers over the phone, because they were willing to get their stuff before we knew price. So that's pretty much my entire top down thing that I do.